It's Monday, January 18th, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Health authorities are investigating a possible COVID-19 related death, even as they monitor a young woman in isolation who is in critical condition. Health Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic made the announcement last night in a recorded statement. He explained that the 84-year-old Barbadian man went to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital's accident and emergency on Saturday night after feeling unwell and subsequently passed away there.
This gentleman had a long history of lung disease and chronic non-communicable diseases. He passed away while his case was being fully evaluated by medical staff. Exercising an abundance of caution and thoroughness, medical staff at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital took blood samples for COVID-19, and the results of those tests now show that the patient was positive for COVID-19. However, I wish to caution the public that at this stage, we can only say that the death may be COVID-related, as the precise cause of death, whether from COVID or complications from his other illnesses, cannot be ascertained until the completion of a post-mortem. Please let me assure the public that every precaution is being taken and all recommended safety protocols are being followed. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has commenced contact tracing in respect of the medical personnel who handled this case. Contact tracing is also in progress with family members of the deceased.
Meantime, the minister did not give much information about the young woman, but indicated that she is a non-national, and he again called on residents to adhere to COVID-19 health safety guidelines.
There is a young female non-Barbadian in critical condition at Harrison Point. Having recorded no deaths from COVID-19 in Barbados in recent months, this is indeed sad news. The government continues to appeal to the public to follow known safety guidelines, such as wearing masks in the correct way, washing and sanitizing hands frequently, and keeping a distance of 6 feet from persons who do not live in your household.
In other news, the second school term gets on the way today, with students logging on to their online classrooms. The decision on the virtual format was taken by the Ministry of Education due to a recent increase in COVID-19 cases. However, the Barbados Union of Teachers and the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union say while their members have been preparing for the new term, there were still issues pertaining to access. BUT President PEDRO tells Barbados Today the issue of readiness will be tested today.
Devices and connectivity, because some people still have some connectivity issues in their areas. But in terms of planning, I believe that all of that has been done. Probably some still doing the last minute. So we are ready all to the devices and the technology, basically.
Meantime, BSTU President Mary REDMAN flagged the same issues, but also expressed concern that a promised second meeting between union and ministry officials to peruse and provide input for the draft guidelines for the operation of the school term did not take place.
It was promised and it did not happen. 2 hours to see the draft of a 25-page document for the first time and provide the quality input necessary, we did not think was enough. And therefore, we were looking forward to that second meeting as promised. And we will take the opportunity to highlight our dissatisfaction with unilateral changes to assurances and agreements. And we are flagging our discontent with this. We are also anxiously awaiting a promised timely meeting to examine the way forward, CXC exit exams, both the CSEC and CAPE exams for 2020, given the realities of our ongoing challenges with online teaching, with our ability to complete syllabi, given a truncated school year last year, for farmers especially who are now the fifth farmers this year dealing with a truncated school year this year.
There's a need to recraft this island's education system, so says President of the Democratic Labour Party, Villa de Pisa, who adds that such a process is long overdue, especially given the COVID-19 environment. De Pisa made the comments during a virtual DLP forum last night.
If ever there was a moment that should make you stop and pause and think about how you want to go forward, this is it. COVID has exposed all of our wounds that we thought were healed. It has brought them all open. We have to find the salve. We have to find a way in terms of education of getting our young people up to scratch, up to speed within the current environment, and in such a way as well that they are prepared to face the second half of the 21st century. Because let's face it, we have already spent 1/5 and we're into the second fifth of this century. So the recrafting of our education system is something that is long overdue. We are scrambling in terms of technological instruments. We are behind the 8 ball in terms of our teacher preparation. We have not in any way explored how we could positively use an online classroom. We're essentially trying to transpose what we do traditionally into an online environment instead of doing it the other way around.
SANDALS is offering complimentary in-resort COVID-19 testing to guests through March 31st, 2021. The news comes on the heels of a decision by the Centers for Disease Control requiring that all travelers submit a negative COVID-19 test prior to their return to the United States. In a statement, SANDALS Resorts International announced that all testing would be conducted by approved and practiced medical professionals with its guests' convenience in mind and with minimal distraction to their overall vacation experience. Upon arriving at its properties, guests will be assisted in making all necessary arrangements to schedule an on-site test. This, it said, would be done at least 72 hours before their departure, with test results made available within 24 hours.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, reports out of Trinidad and Tobago say that a constitutional challenge is on the way over what has been described as government's control of the return of nationals to the country. More from TV6 News.
The UNC is taking legal steps to determine if government is acting contra the Constitution in determining which TNT nationals should be granted exemptions to return home during the pandemic.
There's presently a matter before the court, and the persons on record is former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan together with present Senator Jayanti Lakshmi-Dayal, who has filed a constitutional motion in the High Court of Justice alleging that the decision by the government to continue to lock out our nationals and our citizens from Trinidad and Tobago is illegal and unconstitutional and will be attacked on 4 constitutional rights.
Among those rights to be infringed, they say, are the right of movement and the right of a citizen to not be exiled. But opposition MP Saddam Hussein says such redress takes time.
And it will take some time because you have to file the pleadings, the affidavits, the evidence, the submissions, and await the court's decision. But what we are asking for now is an immediate solution, and we will call for an immediate solution to this matter in the Parliament because Minister Young, together with the government, can act immediately and now.
And finally, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, has described 2020 as the worst year since the Great Depression. In her first media appearance this year, the IMF head said the world was still faced with tremendous uncertainties given the current COVID-19 health crisis, but said the picture for 2021 is less bad.
Now when we are stepping into 21, the picture is less bad for three factors. One, the decisive and sustained monetary policy and fiscal measures. In advanced economies, they raised to Mario Draghi's whatever it takes level. Two, because we have seen countries adjusting these measures based on rapidly changing circumstances. For example, in the US, in Japan, there is now new fiscal stimulus that comes on the back of the pandemic moving from bad to worse. And three, we have been handling the pandemic better over time.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.